Welcome back to Gale Force Wins Season 4.
Well, folks, welcome back to Gale Force Wins. We're in beautiful Brigus, Newfoundland, and we're at a restaurant called the Rise Over, as you can see by the sign that I positioned there. A little bit of wind today. It's not nailed on. If it blows over, it's what happens. But Gale Force Wins, as you know, is an inspirational podcast, and every Tuesday night we share episodes with individuals that have created something, that have inspiration, and that brings me to this moment right now. I'm here with Robert King, and I've been in his restaurant many times. I left the card on the bar about 2 weeks ago, and he called me. He said, "What's this all about?" Well, Gale Force Wins, as you know, inspirational podcast Tuesday night. We pay our bills by going around the world doing conferences and trade shows and custom content. Enough of that. That's our little sales pitch. Robert, I'm going to put it over to you and say, please introduce yourself, and we'll take the conversation from there.
Okay, I guess I'll start off with, most people know me as, especially over in these parts, as the arsehole of Brigus.
Okay. Well, I put that in the credits?
Sure.
All right. Tell us a little more. Let's go back to your childhood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went back. We got about 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Today.
Wow, we started off on Murphy's Lane, number 10.
Where's that?
Monday Ban. I was there for about 5.5, 6 years. And then the grandfather retired, and he's from Brigus. Great-grandfather is from Brigus, 1842. And he retired, sold his house. Dad sold his house, and we all moved back to Brigus.
Wow. What year? When you were 10?
1971. Yeah, I went to second year of kindergarten in Brigus Academy, and first year grade 1. But we never lasted very long because Mom was in the same kitchen as Nan, both of them townies, one from Inverhigh Avenue, my mother, and my grandmother from Groves Road. And one afternoon, my mother came up and took the 3 boys and said, "Hey, we're going back to town." So Dad came home and said, "Where's Das too?" That's what they used to call her.
Yeah.
"Oh, you know Das, right? I think she took the kids back to St. John's." So Dad worked out the week and then came back to town to find Mom, but they split up for a couple of months. We stayed with her brother on Anthony Avenue in Bunleypan, and then finally they got back together. Dad finished up the labour project with Bishop O'Neill School, I think, in Brigus. And then we moved to Macklin Place underneath his brother, actually.
Yeah.
His brother Cyril, who's since deceased, a military guy, died 57 years old of Alzheimer's, but he had a drinking problem, yeah. So anyway, then we moved around. We went from Macklin Place after a couple of years. We went to housing on Eric Street, McKay Street, number 69. And we stayed there for 3 years. First time I ever had a shower, actually, was... Wow. Yeah, first time I ever knew what a shower was. Only baths I ever had. And then they come up with enough money. Dad worked with the fish plant, National Sea, on South Side. And Mom used to work with Mary Brown's, funny enough, for 20-odd years.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was her job.
Yeah.
She'd do nights, he'd do days, so they didn't need a babysitter. I got 2 older brothers. One is 2 years older, one is 3. Hold on here now. Breathe it out there, Robert. And so anyway, they come up with enough money to buy a little house on Monroe Street. 48 Monroe, yeah, and that's where I cut my teeth.
Wow. Just listening to you talk, your parents worked hard, didn't they? So would they be the inspiration for how hard you work?
I'm going to say Dad showed me that there's not enough hours in the day, that nobody could make him work too much, you know? And Mom, well, she gave me my funny. She made a comedian out of me.
I told you I was going to fall down.
Hey, we all got to fall sometimes, and that's how we get back up, eh?
One thing, being in advertising for almost 40 years, it's really important to have the logo in. I could put it in at the bottom anyway, but I want it there. But anyway,
yeah,
sorry.
So I was on in Monroe Street, 48, 9 years old. Wanted a 10 speeds. Mom and Dad couldn't afford it, so I took on a paper route with the Evening Telegram. At one point I was doing 130 Saturday papers.
How old
by
were you at
myself.
this point?
9
9 years old, and you had 130
papers.
130.
On Saturdays, yeah.
Listen,
70 odd during the week.
for anyone who doesn't know, and most people who watch this probably know that I worked at the Telegram for almost 30 years.
Oh, yes.
The fact that you had 130 papers at 9, that's wild.
Yeah.
Like, tell us a little, how long did it take you? Because you don't go out with 130. That means you have to come back and replenish.
So how it worked, actually, I started off with a route around 50 odd. My older brother, Roger, he had a route before me, and a route came up, and I grabbed it. McFarland Street, Brazel Street, that area. And then he wasn't very good with his money. So I didn't want to see the family name go down. So I said, not a problem, I'll take over his route too. So I ended up owning, in my eyes, owning 2 routes by the time I was 11. With, like I say, Saturdays we did 130. Every now and then he'd help me out and I'd give him a couple of dollars. I was always a nice guy like that, wouldn't see a fella stuck, you know. And I did that for 4 years. And enjoyed making money, enjoyed counting money, enjoyed figuring out how much I owed the paper man when he came, you know, every 2 weeks, you know. Saturdays was payday or collecting day, and, you know, I enjoyed the fact that I was able to go to McDonald's and buy 6 Big Macs and eat them all in one sitting. True story. I don't know, you know, but I guess my metabolism was low, or I was just saying never slept. I don't know, but yeah, Monroe Takeout was another place. Every single Saturday, I have 2 cheeseburgers with the works, you know, and I'm sure people know about Monroe Takeout. Little spot for them because they've been on the go for as long as they have. So from there, I mean, you know, I was at school. I was always a good student as far as academic, you know. But I couldn't shut up. My mouth just always got me in trouble, you know. I was always a comedian. So I was, you know, asked to go to class and all that. And my parents didn't push me because, I don't know, I felt like I was the prodigal son.
Yeah. So if you got pushed out of class, would you go down and do your paper route? What would you do?
No, I just, you know, do work in the library, and you know, because I had to do school, you know.
Yeah.
My mother never, I don't think twice in her life ever came to teacher interviews, because as she said, she didn't need to. Yeah. There was nothing that they were going to tell her she didn't already know. The other 2 brothers were a little different, you know. One was into sports and the other fellow was into girls, you know. I was into getting to university. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an accountant.
Yeah.
So by the time I was 18, because I never started till I was late, I was a December baby, and you had to be 5 by September. So it's a funny story, and half the people don't believe me, but you can't make this shit up. I was 4 and a half, a little bit more than 4 and a half, and I couldn't go to school. So Mom said, "But you got to go somewhere. Like you're ready for school. You're 4 and a half, but you're ready. You know, you're able to write, you're able to talk. You know, the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to put you in St. Teresa's preschool." I said, "Mom, that's Catholic. I'm Salvation Army. The lushes will attack me." Right? At least now I can, you know, stay away out of their sight, but there's 70 in them and there's only 1 of me. So I said, "Well, I'm sorry, that's what you're going to do." So anyway, they brought me over to St. Teresa's, and I remember the first time I actually had to write my name on a piece of paper. The nun saw me using my left hand because I had to move the paper upside down, and she said, "You can't write with your left hand." And since I gave up drinking, I remember this like it was yesterday. I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "No." She said, "Here, take the pencil, put it in your right hand." I said, "Well, I can't." So anyway, the next day, they called my mother in and, you know, informed my mother that I was left-handed. And she said, "Yeah, he's left-handed." "Well, he can't write with his left hand. He got to write with his right hand. I mean, that's just not, you know, it's frowned upon."
Yeah.
"So what are you going to do?" "Well, we're going to tie his arm behind his back, and we're going to get him to write with his right hand." So I said, okay. And I was 4.5. And I said, well, I'm going to fool you guys because I'm going to write backwards, which I did. For 2 weeks, I wrote backwards. And that was the start of me and teachers being pissed off at me that I didn't do as I was told because I didn't feel it was correct. You know what I mean?
Well, it's hard to judge you. It's hard to in that instance, it's very difficult to judge you on that.
So 2 weeks later, Mom came in. They called Mom in and said, Miss King, I got some bad news. She said, what's that? And she said, well, your son, I think, has the devil in him. We tried him to change his to right hand and it didn't work. And she said, well, you know, I always told him he was special. Is this okay? Yeah, this is okay. So for the rest of my life, I've been left-handed. You know, I'm right.
Can you write on your right hand?
Oh, yes, of course I can.
So you can write left and right?
Pretty well, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I can shoot darts for left and right. And I shoot right even though I'm left-handed. Yeah. And, you know, I'm all fooled up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Robert, you know, back to the whole concept of them trying to make you write with your right hand and all that, and you kind of rebelling a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that, is it?
No.
What is your thinking on that?
Well, I mean, I think it started a trend for me. I became rebellious against people who tried to keep me down. You know what I mean? I didn't have a lot of money, you know. I mean, we went to school. A sandwich for me was either egg, which everybody made fun of, so I became a fighting cock. All I did was fight, okay? And, you know, so I'd take butter, sugar, and bread. And then no one understood, other than they'd sometimes make fun and say, but you have no meat. So then the best thing out there that we could afford back then was bologna, so I started taking bologna sandwiches. Of course, then they made fun because I, you know, was eating bologna, you know? So it was a constant thing for me right up until I was about 16, always getting into fights because I was made fun of, you know? Yeah. Well, and I don't think I was made fun of personally. I think, you know, to me, my family was made fun of.
Yeah.
And I think I was protecting, you know, my family, you know, because they wouldn't protect themselves.
You're showing some emotion as you tell this story. And you and I talked before we hit record about life in general, and particularly in business, you know. People talk about business people, and you introduced yourself as the arsehole of Brigus.
I am, yeah.
You can tell that.
But I'm not an asshole.
Well, I get it. And you know, business can be very emotional, can't it?
Yeah.
And we'll go back to, you know, your journey, but I just wanted to touch on that because of the sense of emotion. I feel the same way in creating Gale Force Wins. It's very emotional when I tell the story, and it's not braggadocio, is it?
No.
It's more about, holy crap, if you use your brain, you can really make something special happen.
Yeah, and unfortunately, what I'm, obviously now I'm 58 years old, and when you've been down, and you know, it's like a 5-year cycle, you know, economy, you know, and I'm no economist, but I could talk to any of them, you know, and I'm sure I could tell them things that they don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? And again, you talked about bragging. I come across cocky. Why? Because I am cocky. Why am I cocky? Because of the life that I've lived. You know, I mean, let's fast forward to 16, last year of high school. I'm going to say something now that, because this sobriety life that I'm living, the last 8 months, is about cleaner, clearer, conscientious about other people's feelings, which I've never really done. I've always woke up every morning to make money. Not to have fancy cars. I don't need a Ferrari by the door, okay? But I need to ensure that my family are taken care of. I need to ensure that my employees are paid well. I need to ensure that my friends get help from me financially when they need to. You know what I mean? So fast forward to 16. All right, now I'm going to give you the story. I got about 19 chapters. I'm going to try to convince, or what is it? I'm not great grammatically,
Yeah.
because I start talking fast, and I'm spinning ahead.
As my business partner likes to say, we have the whole internet. So
Right.
however many chapters you want.
So at 16 years old, last year high school, I was 18 years old, I should say. I was 18 years old, finishing high school, one exam left. Had a 70 odd 80 average going into the publics. We were the first year, 1984 was when we graduated, and I was going
I'm
to.
the same age as you, by the way.
Oh, are you really?
This is all resonating with me.
December 8, 65 was when I was born. No problem to tell, I'm a Sag. But my friends, I had one exam left, family living. I had a 98 average going into it. And I had this teacher that I didn't like, but I enjoyed the course, cooking and learning how to use a sewing machine. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But anyway, the boy said to me, you don't need to do the exam. And I've never followed no one in my life, okay? Up to 18. And I thought about it. And, when I came up with the answer, I said, I really don't need to. I got a 49 going in. Like, I was only 1%. Well, guess what happened? I didn't do the final exam. I said, no big deal. The problem is I didn't have that diploma, so I couldn't apply to MUN to be an accountant.
Right.
I was going to go into commerce. And I used every excuse anybody ever asked me, especially my best buddy, Robert Dalton, who's, funny now, is the president of the Canadian Optician Society. And we were inseparable. And we were like two dummies, as far as anybody's concerned. Two Ronnies, Dumb and Dumber, Spick and Span, whatever you want to call us, right? We were all of the above, right? And I went in September to see Cal Verdi, who had been in his office more than probably his vice principal has been in. And I remember almost quitting high school one year and convinced myself to go back. So I said, Cal, I'm here to sign up for a supplementary for the family living. And he said, Robert, no, I don't need to take that. The phone might go off a bit, just in case something important comes up. I said, he said, sorry, but there's no SUPs in a 3101 course. I said, why not? He said, I don't know. It's just what it is. So he said, listen, we'll make a deal. You come back one class every week. And, you'll be able to do your exam after the first semester, we'll say, in January, and you'll be in university by next year. And I said, I tell you what you can do with that idea. Put it where the sun doesn't shine. Cal, me and you never did get along, we're not going to. Yeah. See you later. So I left his office because August 14th of 1984, I started my own little company called R&D Imports on Elvis's birthday, myself and Dave Butler, a good buddy of mine. And so I already had a company started, so I really didn't need the university degree in my head, So I went full-time at the T-shirt racket. My first order was Trapper John's Joe Brown. He told me to go over see Dick at Greensleeves. I got a set of ball cap order off of Dick. Dick said to go over and see Bull Cook. He gave me an order for matches, which I've never sold matches in my life at that point.
So you're 19, I believe.
I was 18 because it was September. Yeah.
18.
I wasn't 19. Yeah.
Sorry.
And I was on George Street, yes, but I wasn't drinking.
No.
Other than Joe wouldn't give me the order at 9 a.m. in the morning unless I drank a double screeching Coke with a lemon. And I said, I can do that. Yeah. I never ever had one before, but I threw it down. They gave me an order of basketball uniforms. And I said, before I go, Joe, can you do me a favor? So what's that? I said, can you give me 50% deposit? He said, you got to be kidding me, young fella. I said, man, I got no money. I got $100. My brother just loaned me $100. I put $29.82 for a P.O. box, and I put the rest of the money in an account at TD Bank and opened up an account called R&D Board. So I'm telling you the truth, man. I need your money so I can order the gear. So he gave me a 50% check. Dick Hancock, funny enough, paid me for the whole order.
Up front.
One of the nicest men I ever met. And I dealt with him right up until today. I still deal with Greensleeves. And never, ever had issues paying. He was always like, and that was a big thing, cash flow. I mean, having cash flow with no credit lines, I got no daddy in my back pocket. I got no cash, right?
But just a point on that, like these business people, you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
One gives you 50% up front, the other one pays the entire amount.
Yeah, and the next guy, Bull Cook, Barry Way, Brick Shirt House was his supplier.
I know Barry.
And they were good friends. But Barry was on the way down back then. I think he was getting into other things, right? So I went to Gold and he gave me that order of matches and I asked him for a deposit. And he said, look, you bring those matches back the way they're supposed to be and I'll pay you no problem. So one gave me 50%, one paid full, and the other guy said, you're going to have to trust me.
Yeah.
And which I did. And, that started it all.
Yeah.
That started it all. Just
put it down there.
Everybody knows I'm the... Oh, sure, I got it branded here. I don't wear plain clothing. Never did. Never wore a plain item in my life, right? So, anyway, that started it. And I that was 1984. I proposed to my sweetheart, Dawn. Woo! In 1984, we're going to get married. We decided to get married July 30th, 88.
A lot going on in 1984.
Yeah.
Jesus, you got the business started. You were proposing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1988, July 30th, we were to get married. I thought her family had a lot of money, so I thought they were going to pay for the wedding. I was 4 years into my business, and I was doing $25 a year, for salary, sole proprietorship. The problem I had was 1987. My best buddy Dave died.
Oh, what happened?
He drowned up in Sunshine Park.
No way.
Yeah.
Was he part of your business?
He was the D. Yeah, he had a milk run, but I used to take care of the T-shirts with him.
Yeah.
Now, while I was doing that, I opened up a video shop. I opened up a trophy shop. I opened up a dart. I worked at a dart importing shop owned by my girlfriend. So I always got more than one iron on the fire.
Yeah.
Still today. People say, how you do it? I said, well, I do 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and So that really, it was tough.
Yeah.
So to get over that, get through that, I think I just worked more. Just keep your mind off it. And again, I think I wanted to prove that R&D Imports is going to be a good little company. So problem is now I had to get married. And I didn't have no money, and someone's got to pay for the wedding. And I know, Baxter agreed to pay for, I think, the meals and stuff, which was cool. So I decided to go get a job. I worked at Hotel Newfoundland nights from 11 in the night till 7 in the morning as a houseman. I learned how to clean a toilet, buddy, better than most. And I remember I stayed there for 6 months, and I put in my notice 2 weeks before I got married, and they didn't want me to go. And I said, listen, this was just a little, I told you that when I showed up.
Yeah.
I got my T-shirt. I do this 11 to 7. I go get off at 7 o'clock, get in my little Jeep, and go home, get a couple hours nap, and then start work at, 11 o'clock with the T-shirt racket. And because George Street was really well opening up 11, 12 o'clock, so I worked around that. That's, we created the George Street logo. That's, me and Mark Lineker actually created that for George Street, and then after they started the association, and now they own the logo, obviously. So from there, we got married on July 30th, hottest day in hell. We had our first child in 1989. And then I went to the TD Bank and saw Karen Skinner in 1990 and sat in a chair like this and said, God, it feels something good to know you made it.
Is that what you said?
Got my first loan, bought my first screen printing equipment, and I moved the company from 114 Duckworth to 50 Pippy Place in Unit 14. And
what was the name of the business?
I changed the name from R&D Imports because that wasn't conducive to what I was into now.
Yeah.
And I changed it to Galaxy Promotions.
I remember Galaxy Promotions.
Yeah, because Galaxy was out there. It was big,
Yeah.
right? So I had to put that big thing out there, you know, that people thought, oh my God, where these guys come from, right? But I was the same guy, right? So anyway, and I hired my first 2 employees. I hauled them out of EC Boone, who was the big competition. Dave Boone was I've since met him, and we're best kind now, but he wasn't my favorite person. So I hired
to happen in competitive business.
Yeah, and I hired Chris Williams, my screen printer, and I hired Jody Ennis, my artist. Jody is still with me today.
Wow.
Chris has since moved on and went with Ultra Graphics, and he's now retired. So that was 1990. Galaxy Promotions. Everything was good. Then we had Joshua. Samantha was in '89. Joshua was in '93. In 1995, '96, Don got diagnosed with lupus.
Don is your wife? Not ex.
Hang on, there's a little bit. I'm going to give you the quick story on it. Dawn was the woman I married, and we had 2 children. So Joshua was born May 14th, '93, Samantha April 15th, '89.
Yep.
Dawn was diagnosed around February month of around '96, and we started having some problems between us. I was working, you know, trying to take care of everything, you know. She was sick a lot of times, you know. It was a hard old disease. And then one thing led to another. Next thing you know, we're getting a divorce. So 1999 I got divorced, and we had the kids split up half-time. 2 days here, 2 days here. Never 7 days, 7 days. I never had the children on Fridays, because that was my one night to release. 5:30 Fridays. No work. Now I always work because I don't shut up, right? But I wasn't physically at the office.
Right.
I'd leave the office before 5:30, and I'd hang out with some friends and stuff, and have a game of pool and whatever. And so it was 1999, and she went and remarried someone else. But then in 2003, I called her up one night, Good Friday, loaded drunk, 3 a.m. in the morning. 3 a.m. I must be lonely. You know that song? I could say something else, but I won't on air. I called her up, said, what are you at? She said, I'm asleep. I said, well, get up out of that bed, because you're never going to sleep with that man again. It's true as words. And I said, give me a call tomorrow morning. And I hung up. I don't remember calling her. 10 o'clock next morning, the phone rang, and the bitch came up on the phone. And I answered the phone. I said, yeah, are the kids okay? Because she had the kids. It was Friday night. And I was Saturday morning, and I was at work 10 o'clock, so I never got home till 4.
Yeah.
But you can't miss work because of drinking, you know. I was probably, I was best kind. I had a couple of coffees in me. So, you know, I started talking to her, and she said, you don't remember calling me, do you? I said, nope. What did I say? Oh, you don't remember telling me what you said? I said, no. Well, I said, I still love you. We should get back together. And she said, yeah. I said, well, what do you think? And she said, let's do it.
Wow.
And we got back together.
Just like that?
Yeah, on April, on Samantha's birthday, we were reunited, and most of the family were okay with it. Samantha wasn't happy, but she came around, and you know, we got our family back together. Baxter, Audrey, Carrie, Susan, all the support. And we had a great 8 months. And on December the 6th, December the 6th.
Yep.
She had a party for me.
Fix your mic.
At my house.
Yeah.
Or at her house, my house. And we went downtown on Sunday, actually, and she took a little sick. So I said, you know, guys, we're going home now. And we went home. And she went to sleep, and I watched a bit of TSN, and I passed out downstairs in my rec room. And 7 o'clock a.m., the phone rang, and it was my mother singing me happy birthday. And I said, Mom, it's tomorrow. Oh, yes, she said, so it is. Like I said, she was my funny, okay? And anyway, I'll call you back.
First, though.
I call you back tomorrow. I'll call you back tomorrow. It's what's kind. And when I got phone, I felt something very, very strong. And I went up over the stairs and went into the bedroom and Dawn wasn't in the bed. And then I went to the bathroom and I passed the bathroom to go to the bedroom. And I came back to the bathroom and the door was half closed. And the light was on. And I opened the door, but I couldn't get the door open. And when I pushed the door, my wife was dead. There it was. Done. She had lost all bodily extremities, and I cleaned her up. I called a friend of mine with the RNC and said, I think you better come over to Elmcliff Street because Don is passed. And he showed up, and then he called the ambulance and all that. And, that was in 2003, December the 7th. On December the 8th, I made funeral arrangements for her.
Your birthday.
Yeah. Normally it doesn't bother me. I tell this story all the time, and it doesn't bother me. It does not bother me now. It's just that I feel sorry for her.
How old was she?
37 years old.
37.
37. 37-year-old. Perfect.
She never lived, did she?
Oh my God, she did. Oh, she did.
She did?
But my God, she was the epitome of beauty. Anyway, done, gone, move on. Just another thing I gotta deal with.
So, holy shit.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. So
how
that
do you
was
recover?
December.
How do you come out
You
of
just do it. Two children, 14 and 10. Took them, had a huddle, and said, guys, no big deal. Dad got us. Don't worry. I'll be mom and dad. I'll be provider. I'll be friend. You just work with me on this. They were almost like two employees to me at that particular juncture. And they agreed. My daughter, and my son, Josh, are the best things that ever happened to me. And because of them, if I become successful, because I don't believe I am, I do not believe I'm a successful business person. I have created and opened 10 businesses. 10 is my number, okay? 10 is my number. 4 is my favorite number, but 10 is my lucky number.
And you've opened 10.
I've opened 10. They're not all still around because failure has to happen in business for you to want to exceed, want to excel. 2004, January, I do the family dinner, as I did every year. Everybody. It was a different family dinner. Dawn wasn't there. For 5 years, Dawn wasn't there, but she did her own family dinner with her family. I always did family dinner with my family, But 2003, she wasn't around. So it was a new chapter, new beginning. I took on it 2004 like there was no tomorrow, 4 being my favorite number. You got to believe in the shit that hangs up there in the universe, hence why I call my company Galaxy. It was a tough year. It was a tough year. I thought it was going to be easy, but I started a magazine called All in Trade and Barter.
Yep.
Against buy and sell, Terry Snow, because We had a sign shop together, and he did a little skullduggery on me, which I didn't appreciate, but you know, again, we're not friends today because of it. And I lost 40 grand on that deal. I lost another 100 grand on the magazine. So 2004 was a year of a lot of the money that I had made up until that point. I lost. I didn't waste. I lost, because when you create and start a business, if you're an entrepreneur, as people try to call me or other people like me, you know, you invest in businesses, you invest in people, you invest in yourself. And if it works, it works. Am I a gambler? 100%, you know. Do I go playing poker and stuff like that? No, not really. I'm a gambler in business, you know. I don't need $1 million in the bank. I'm not dying with any cash. I'd like to pass sometime when I'm around 100 or 102, you know. I'll retire then when they put me in the box, right? You know. And but I won't have no cash in the bank.
So 2004, 140 grand gone.
Gone. Disappeared.
What are you doing, you know, now?
Now?
Yeah, not now, but then.
Oh, so Jody,
140's gone.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Jody came to me up to my house in Elmcrest Street and said, Robert, man, it's not good at Galaxy. Because I had been away from Galaxy for 6 months doing something else with another 6 employees.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? And it was the first time I ever seen him worried. And like I said, that was 2004. He was with me since 1990, 14 years. And it seems like Chris might be leaving. I said, oh, everybody's leaving the sinking ship. Well, I said, let's show them, Jody. Let's show the world. So that's, I think, when I woke up and said, that will never happen again. So I made a couple of mistakes. I used vengeance as my fuel. I'll tell you, anybody today that kill someone with kindness, it'll work much better for you. Okay? Really. Think everything through. Right? Don't impulse nothing. Right? You know? Don't impulse nothing. People think I'm an impulse buyer. I'm not. I think through every single thing I do. But the way I think, compared to the way a lot of other people think, it's too risky. But I say, if I got $100,000, what's risky about it? It's only money.
Yeah.
Really, it's only money. I don't need it. I can't take it with me.
Yeah.
Right? You know. So I'm one of these people who just, you know, thinks it through. My mind is going around, around, around. I don't write nothing down. I'm not a note taker, you know. And so we just went full bore. And I became salesman personified, and Jody was Mr. Production. And then we hired another employee, and then another one. And yeah, that went great. So that was 2004, right up until 2007. And I wasn't Revenue Canada's favorite person all the time. I wasn't a guy to always pay on time. Sorry, suppliers got to be paid for you guys. And they said, no. We got to be paid for the suppliers. And I said, well, if I don't pay the suppliers, I got no work. And if I got no work, I got no business. If I got no business, I got no employees. So if you really think that through, then you're second, and suppliers are first. It's not the way it should be, but that was my thing, and that's how I put it too. So by 2007, I was burnt. I had enough. So I closed Galaxy. I helped Jody set up his own company called In the Box. He brought Baxter on. Baxter had a few dollars and was able to help Jody financially. I gave him some guidance on, sales and stuff like that, and got my customers to give Jody some orders. And I went on the road actually with Sanmar Canada for a year and a half. Sanmar Canada at the time were the largest supplier of imprint wear, and I was the biggest customer in Newfoundland for Sanmar Canada.
Gotcha.
And I became buddies with Howie Todd, the president, at conventions. At conferences, and I called him up and said, Howie, what's the chance you give me a job? He said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm done with owning my own company, man. I need a break.
Yeah.
So he said, well, obviously, I'm going to hire you. What do you want to do? I said, I'm going to leave St. John's and travel Atlantic Canada for you with the catalogs and go into all your accounts. How many you got? He said, I got 450. I said, well, I'll probably end up closing about 250 of them. And I'll get to see how the rest of the world works in promotions and T-shirts and stuff like that. So that's what I did. So that was a bit of fun. And during around that time, I had met a French girl actually from Quebec. She was here learning English. That's a funny story. Because you really don't normally come to Newfoundland to learn English. But this is where she came, we met, and she started traveling with me the last year, and then we did such a good job with it, Howie offered us Quebec. So then we did Quebec for the last 6 months. But Josh was 16 then, and Samantha would call me and say, your son is, he's up to no good sometimes. So I went to Howie and said, Howie, I got to come off the road, man. I gotta get back and take care of, because I was gone like 6-8 times a year, on the road for a week, right?
I did the same thing.
Yeah, right.
It's not easy on a family.
Oh.
I don't know how hockey's
And
going
luckily,
hockey and baseball.
well, they must have great family support.
Yeah.
They must have great family support. So I came back. I mean, thank God for Samantha. I mean, Josh is a wonderful kid, but Samantha helped me raise him. She really did. I get emotional when I speak about my family.
I get it.
That's it. I don't care about anything else. Like, nothing else phases me. Like I told you, I'm the arsehole of Brigus because I'm that type of tough guy. I don't come across as someone as, but when you're in business, as you know, man, you got to be an arsehole sometimes. You can't help it.
Well, you'd be walked down.
It could be a supplier, it could be a customer, it could be an employee.
Yeah.
So anyway, I came back and I remember going over to visit Jody. He was on O'Leary Avenue up over Wholesale Club there. And I walked in and now I see him, I'd seen him every 6 weeks because he was one of my customers, right? And he was the best customer I had in Newfoundland. So I took care of him, pricing and stuff like that. And I went to see him. I said, so I'm giving up Sanmar and I'm looking for a job. And he laughed. Yeah, you got to know Jody. He's a funny guy. And he said, what do you want? I said, I want to come work for you. So I went to work for him doing sales. I said, but before we go, I said, I want a handshake agreement on something. He said, what's that? I said, within 5 years, I want to buy this company off you. And he said, all right, but I want to retain 10%. And I said, not a problem, man. And that's what we did. And here we are now. Well, actually, not here we are now. I mean, because Brigus became something right out of the blue.
Yeah.
My grandfather, great-grandfather, father, everybody are Brigus people. I've been coming back and forth here since about the womb. And myself and Gale, the pandemic came in. And that was a really tough time, obviously, for everybody. For me at In the Box, there was no events anymore. There was no sports. There was no graduations. There was nothing. My business stopped. Came to a standstill. I went from doing 100 emails a day receiving to getting 1 or 2 every couple of days. I mean, I had $50,000 worth of work came in, supplies, cancelled. And some of them had no deposits because I've got customers that are 40 years with me, So anyway, Ghislaine and myself one night were reading something on the internet about this kid over in Italy, I think it was, or something, doing this rainbow. And I said, there's an idea. Let's make stickers with this rainbow and we'll devise our own. And I like giving to charity, and I'm a big musician supporter. So I'm going to create a campaign online called the Rainbow Community Campaign. And it's for charity, and it's for struggling musicians who can't pay a light bill right now. And so we did that, and I started selling them online on a boutique through Facebook for $2 a sticker. $1 went to in the box for the manufacturing of it, and $1 went into this, fund, we'll call it, that I had created out of my head. And then I start getting Damien Follett and Dave White and buddies of mine to come online doing streaming. And that start, because people were home and they needed to something. And I always found music medicine. I've always found music. I still today. I mean, I'm downtown 5 nights a week, and I don't even drink no more. Whether it's putting a $20 tip in or seeing some homeless person who needs $5, just helping.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do. This is a big reason why I agreed to do this. Hold on, hang on. All right. Phone don't stop. And I don't like putting it off because it could be someone that it could be one of my children.
I know.
And I get my daughter Samantha's cell phone. I think she was 8.
It's funny you say that. I'll just tell you a quick story. When I was in sales, I would never take a phone call until my mom had a heart attack. And if she called, I would answer the phone no matter what. I'd say, excuse me, this is my mom. She's in her 80s. I need to talk to her.
Correct.
And I would just... And that no one had a problem with that. The moment it's your family, it's important. If it was a frivolous call, well, what are you doing? You're taking up someone's time.
Exactly. And that's the only reason why I keep that phone on, in case Samantha or Joshua needs to contact me for something, right? And Joshua now runs in the box, so, I mean, he's got a lot on his plate, so there's a lot of reasons he could call me. Samantha could call me, just say, hey, Dad, what are you doing?
So we're in Brigus.
We're in Brigus.
What an incredible story you've told us. We've got about another 15 minutes to talk. What is the impetus for the rise over? And you have another business here as well. Tell us a little bit about your Brigus operation.
So we're in 2024. I'm going to go 12 years ago. My dad and mom were coming over here every weekend. Okay. So he was like 77, I think he was. And I'd have Sunday dinner with him every single Sunday. And he was living on Brazo Street now at this point. Because after I got divorced, he called me up and said, I got a house bought out on Brazo Street. I said, Dad, do what you want, right? Do what you want. Right? He loved out downtown. We lived on Monroe for 12, now he's out on Brazo.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Send me that logo, please.
Okay.
Today, if you can.
Okay, buddy.
That's a client of yours, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's Target NL. All right, May. That's Target NL, so Brigus Group have come on as a bit of a sponsor type thing, right? We're, In the Box does all the swag, so it's just as well Brigus Group, where they're going to be out here. North Street are going to do the luncheon type thing. So we had a meeting earlier before I got to see you. That's why I was a little late. So back to myself and Ghislaine went out driving around Sunday looking for a little house. And I found a little house up on Ratley Row. I calls it the hill of Brigus, similar to the hill in St. John's, because this is little St. John's, right? This is no different than St. John's, right? Brigus is. And we bought the house, and I remember going out to Sunday dinner next Sunday, or 3 Sundays later, and giving Dad a key. He said, what's that? I said, you got a house in Brigus now? Now you haven't got to stay with the cousin all the time. Because he was starting to get older. I don't want to be staying with Tom. I wish I had to buy a house there years ago, So they start spending almost every weekend out there. Yeah, they loved it. And he had his own house, And we'd stay there when they weren't there and stuff. But then, unfortunately, on the 14th of August, 5 years ago, Dad got sick and he got diagnosed with brain cancer and passed. And then I moved out here full time.
In the house, that house?
Oh, yes, yeah. And then Mom actually just passed April 29th of brain cancer. So both of them died of brain cancer. I guess they think too much. I don't know what brain cancer is.
My dad died in 1979 of brain cancer.
Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm not a person to look up on, disease and stuff like that because I don't care enough.
Yeah.
Because you're going to die, you're going to die. It's something. Whatever it is, it is. But,
So you got deep roots in Brigus,
got
a house here.
Like all of my family, all of my king relatives are here, So
you got a promotion company, and now you're in the restaurant.
Yeah, because I'm bored of the T-shirt racket.
Yeah, I get it.
Been
at it how long?
A long while, 40
years.
years. Yeah. And at that point, around 8 years, I was over 30 years into it. And, you know, when you're doing 18 hours a day, it's like 60 years at it. You know, it's 3 careers,
Yeah.
you know. So I got after a buddy of mine, had a little building up there next to the funeral home. I wanted to do a brewery. Another one of my great ideas. So I convinced the town to allow me approval to put Brigus Brewing Co. There. And then I went to Frank and I said, Frank, any chance to sell me that building now? And we worked a deal. He sold me the building and we start doing renovations. And, you know, every year we do something more. And then a lot of cousins around here who were looking for hours, couldn't get no hours for unemployment and stuff like that. So I started a company called Brigus Properties and Renos. And then I started buying a couple of properties, and I don't like things being tore down. I'm a historic guy. So I bought properties and did them up and started having hospitality homes. All at the same time.
Yeah.
But all in Brigus. Right? And in the meantime, Josh was slowly moving up down it in the box, and he was starting to take over, right?
Yeah.
And that was cool too. You know, I mean, he went to university out of high school, flunked out first term, sent it back second term, hated that too. Gave it up for 3 or 4 years, talking about taking over my company. I said, the only way, young fella, you're taking over my company, you need to know what a balance sheet is and a liability statement is, right? If you can figure that out, you know what an income statement is, no problem. So he agreed to go to Kona in the night times full time and work with me full time in the days. And got his business management diploma. I said, okay, now it's yours. Now you just got to work towards getting there, you know? So I start working on the brewery and the hospitality homes, and then I sold the hospitality homes to people who loved the homes, and now those 2 homes are owned by people who, you should see what they got done with them. I mean, you know, they haven't done anything, you know, aesthetically, but they've, you know, you can see that they love these little places, you know?
Yes.
And then I sat down at the country corner one day with a friend of mine from Brigus, Kevin Spracklin, who's since passed. And he said, so how's things going with the brewery? I said, boy, I think we're going to be open next year. He said, right on. He said, boy, he said, there's an opportunity. He said, in that blue building, he said that could be talks about a restaurant or pub there. I said, who owns it? And he told me who owned it. I didn't know the guy. And anyway, so I found his phone number and called him up, and after I got off the phone with him, I didn't ever want to speak to him again. His demeanor towards me. Didn't appreciate it. Again, and now I'm, you know, what am I, 58, so that was 3 years ago. I was 55 years old. I wasn't taking shit from no one. I don't care if you're the Prime Minister or the Premier. You know what I'm saying? You're my equal, right? You know, it's not about what you got or who you know and all that. Like, let's talk on a level, right? You know, I think I'm a very knowledgeable business person in a bunch of different...
That's quite obvious.
Yeah, in a bunch of different things. How I got into the restaurant business originally was my accountant, Jerry, had a Wendy's on Tops of the Road 5 years, and each year he'd come over and do my taxes end of the year, and I'd ask him how things going. The first year was great, and the second year was great. By the 5th year, he was going, I wish I never ever opened that.
Really?
I said, I told you that, man. Like, it's a small business, you know, even though it's a franchise, it's a small business. You need to be there.
Yeah.
And I came on as a consultant, and within 2 years, I was full-time, putting in 60, 70 hours a week there. From
At a Wendy's?
At a Wendy's on top of the road.
You've got one hell of a... You talk about chaplains. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So I was with, that's where I got into it, but they have such cool systems, and everything is just, you know, and I learned them systems, and then I said, God, so I met with the guy who owns this building, and went out on that deck, and it was a sunny day, and I turned around and looked at him, I said, how much? And he said, how much what? I said, how much is it going to cost me to lease this out of you? He says, it's not for lease. I said, what do you mean? I heard you wanted to do a pub or something here. And he said, yeah, but I wasn't looking at it. I said, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right? You know, you're talking circles here. So I said, listen, this is the deal. Bump, bump, bump. And he looked at me with bewilderment and said, who are you?
Let's do it.
Where did you come from?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, put down paper. And I said, no problem. So I put down paper and boom. Next thing you know, I opened the Rise Over.
In the pandemic, was it not? Around
Yes, sir. September 21st. I started the project on, I talked to him on April the 1st. I basically signed the deal on Josh's birthday, May 14th. Everything with me is a date, okay? It makes me remember things easily, right? So I signed up the deal with him. I was originally going to be partners with him on it, but that didn't work out because I don't really like partners.
Yeah.
I'm a lone wolf, we'll call me, okay? I have ideas that not always are right, and I'm going to make mistakes, but I'd rather do that because I'll learn from it. And that's how
I'm mad at
always done.
yourself. Yeah. Having a business partner mad at you is harder to handle.
Right, and I had a business partner in Terry Snow, and that didn't go over well, okay? So anyway, that was 3 years ago. And what I was doing was I was developing a restaurant here, a brand, because I want one in St. John's, okay? The Rise Over is in Brigus because my friends, St. John's people, tourists, come to Brigus. All right? But this is not where it ends. This is not where the Rise Over ends. The second chapter of the Rise Over is going to happen December the 8th in St. John's when I open up Rise Over 2.
You're making that happen.
Well, that's already in the works.
Is this a big announcement on Gale Force Wins? Anyone who knows it knows this, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if the gentleman who owns this very iconic building that might have had a restaurant in it before, comes across with the proper lease rate and everything else, it will be housed in a building that everybody will be very familiar with. Our food product that we put out here, everything is from scratch, developed by us, you know, as a group. And I think we can bring that to St. John's. And I'm not looking to compete against friends of mine who have restaurants, because I do have a lot of friends in town.
Yep.
And I do the work. I mean, I do all the through in the box. So they're Josh's customers now, sort of. But I need to still, you know, we still need to stay cordial and friends. But if there's one thing I'm competitive, it's business. I take no prisoners. You know, don't call me looking for 10 T-shirts because yours didn't come in and you're a competitor of mine, because it's not going to happen. So, yeah, so that's happening. Plus, in the box is probably this afternoon going to sign a lease for another building on Kenmount Road, and we're moving our operations from Pippi Place to a much more high-profile location right across from Avalon Mall. And that's Josh's doing. That's what he wants to do. He says, Dad, I'm going to make it bigger than you ever had it. And I said, buddy, show me, because I'm so focused now on the restaurant business. The Wendy's, we basically sold off the Wendy's January 26th. So myself and Jerry are out of that. And but it really got me interested. I love cooking, so I love the restaurant business. I mean, the brewery is still going to happen. I'm looking at probably opening that on my birthday when I'm 60.
Do you have a name for the brewery?
Brigus Brewing Co. Yeah. I mean, we've already got 4,000 followers on Instagram. I haven't even opened yet.
Wow.
You know, because I'm all over social media and I personally do all of my own social media. Okay, and I work every single one of my businesses from, you know, a 4-year-old cell phone. And I hate to get rid of the cell phone because then I got to learn how to do things. You know what it's like, right? You know?
Yeah. We've got new cameras and lights.
Yeah.
That sound, the soundboard we're using right now is the newer version of the one I had, and it's taken me a long time to understand it because it's all digital.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question,
Okay.
and I'm fascinated about rural Newfoundland and the success of rural Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Despite the fact I grew up in St. John's, I want to see rural Newfoundland grow across every community.
Yes.
What do you think needs to happen to make Newfoundland stronger?
It's easy. It's an easy one. I'm going to give Chess Penny the credit on this one. I've never met Chess. One day I was down Brigus Beach and I see a helicopter coming in. I knew who the helicopter was, and it was Chess. And he'd land up on top of where the tunnel is. And there was a car waiting for him. Now, it wasn't a limousine, it was just a car, because Chess is over on Riverhead. And anyway, I was standing up and I was just going, I'm going to have a helicopter someday. Just like I say, I'm going to have a house on Waterford Road someday when I was 9, right? But I'm going to have a helicopter someday. It'll be easier than getting back and forth St. John's to Brigus. And that's the only reason why I'm on a helicopter. For no other reason but time. Time management with me is huge, right? And it should be for anybody in business. You know, do not procrastinate. You know, you procrastinate, the only person hurting is yourself. And your business and your employees. You know, I mean, you have such a responsibility, right? So anyway, so Chess comes down, starts walking down, and he wasn't walking real brisk, and he come down, and it was almost like he was a rock star, and I'm going over and said, Mr. Penny, can I speak to you for a minute? And he started walking towards the car, and he was a little like, who's this dude, right? And I goes, can I just ask you a question? I said, my name is Robert King. I'm from Brigus. I'm a Brigus boy. And he said, hi, you know. I said, I know who you are. I said, I just want to ask you one question. I'm a business guy, and I'm in business, you know, for 30 odd years. And I've had some failures, and I've had some successes, you know. What word of advice can you give me? And he looked at me, he said, young girl, the only thing I can tell you, hire good Newfoundlanders. You do that, he said, you'll be all right. So, you asked me a question just now, you know, what do I think will help Royal Newfoundland? The only thing I didn't mention was my cousin Debbie had North Street Cafe. She started 27 years ago. She was 20 years in a 10-seat little cafe on North Street. And she worked and developed a brand on her own. And then 7 years ago, they built a building, her and Ig. And I remember saying to the two of them, I said, when you're ready to sell that now, I want to buy that building, right? I want to buy the business. I want to take this over, right? And they laughed, blah, blah, blah. And last year she retired, and we worked a deal to buy it. And I sat on it from October to December, paying a mortgage, you know. And of course my family like, wow, Dad, especially Joshua, what are you doing? That's about it. Whatever idea I comes up with, Samantha is like, right on, Dad. Right? You do it, buddy. Right? Josh is more of, and I taught both of them that way.
Josh is a little more like you, right?
Yeah.
Some way.
No, Josh is, I've taught Josh about money because I've made mistakes with it. So I've taught him, and the guy could work in any financial institution right now, and he would make people's heads spin on how good he is with money, okay? So, but I bought North Street Cafe, and then December month, I wasn't feeling great, and I said to myself, you need to change something. And the change was alcohol. So January the 2nd, I've tried it on January 1st a number of occasions, like lots of us have. January 2nd, I decided that was it. That was my last drink. At the time, I was doing 2 60s a week of Jameson straight up.
January of this year.
Oh, you got it.
So you're 8 months into
I'm almost
sobriety.
8 months. Yeah, I think I'm 238, 239 days. And so I've decided to, I don't need to drink anymore. I did it for 40 years. You know?
I'm going to join you on this. As
Okay.
I told you before we hit record, it was 2015 when I stopped drinking.
Wow, congratulations,
My
man.
son is 21, and last night we're at his little party.
Yeah.
Anyway, the guy serving said, would you like a beer? And I said, no, you know, I don't drink anymore. I gave it up. And my son said to me, he said, Dad, sounds like you're an alcoholic. I said, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I wouldn't classify myself as that, but I honestly don't care anymore when I tell people that I don't drink.
Right.
Because what I found, and you and I talked about this before we record, is that my life is so much more enhanced.
Oh,
and
wow.
I look at the energy you have and the clarity of mind that you must
Clarity.
have as you expand your business.
Amazing.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh my God. So, I did it quietly. My son would know a little bit more about my drinking prowess than my daughter. We have 2 grandchildren now. We, I say, but, I, right? I still speak about Don. My relationship with Ghislaine has ended as of last October, and just a lot of things
Yeah.
came full circle, you know. So I did it quietly. I'd be at in the box in the morning doing paperwork at the back end, and I'd drive back to Brigus, and I did this every single day all winter, back and forth. And I'd come in, I'd do a little bit of helping in here, but most times I was secluded into my house because I didn't know how to act around anybody. I wasn't drinking. I was drinking every day. I now can say I'm a recovering alcoholic, you know, and I always will be, I guess, you know. So then, you know, me being ideas, I said, you know what, I need to do something bigger than that, you know. If I got a voice, you know, whatever it is, if it's just in Newfoundland or it's just in St. John's and Brigus, if it's just my little circle of friends, and I have friends who I wish they could feel what I feel right now and know what I know right now, you know what you know. You have, I'm sure you have the same thing, you know, with friends of yours. Like, but no one can make anybody else do anything, you know, lead the horse to water, but not going to drink, they're not interested, you know. So same thing. So I came up with this idea of, I think I'm going to start a brand called Sobriety Life, and it's got a circle, which is a circle of life, which is everybody, and then it's got a triangle, you know, and a triangle represents so much to so many different people in life, and to everybody they have their own triangle. You know, for me, not drinking, owning businesses is about cleaner, you know, clearer, and having a conscience, man. You know, being nicer, you know, not being the arsehole, you know, right? And that has really, and so what I'm doing now, I'm slowly launching it with an online boutique, and you know, we're going to put the hoodies out for $75. $25 of each hoodie is going to go into the Rainbow campaign, because I'm in the process of trademarking it and making a foundation that we can give back to musicians. It's all about, because musicians, man, we were all going to die 4 years ago. I don't know about you, but I thought we were all going to die.
I was there.
Every one of us thought we were dying, right? And music came on the internet through Facebook and different portals and channels. And I'm sure a lot of people, if not anybody, can say that it helped me get through. It helped me get through. Listen to Damien Fowler, Dave White, Chris Andrews, all of these, you know, Alan Doyle, everybody, you know, it helped them get through a day, you know. So I want to give back to them, you know, and there's no application they got to fill out. They got to contact me, because I'm the only person, I'm the only staff member of this foundation. There will be no staff members that are getting paid. You know, charities, nothing against charities. I love charities. Charities are great. But when 40% of their budget is ate up with salaries, sometimes 60%, you know.
And higher.
And higher, and we're giving out $1, and 20 cents is left over to give out. Listen, I'll leave with this. I mean, I don't know how much time I got, but this is where my head, this is where my head is to now. Since June the 14th, I have come out, okay? So I stopped the seclusion, and I opened up North Street Cafe and Bistro. We reopened Hillary's, which was a little ice cream shop that Debbie's, it's named after Debbie's granddaughter, Hillary O'Flaherty, and we've started that. I'm going to open up another half a dozen of these little old-fashioned ice cream parlors in Bonavista. Let you know I'm coming. Port Rexton, Rocky Harbor, all the little rural communities.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And you know what I'm going to do? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hire local people who need work. And they will have pride in those little businesses. Maybe I'll have a rise over in Bonavista. Maybe I'll have a rise over in Dildo. Hey, Dildo Brewing, you could have some competition coming. Beware. Don't forget, there's always someone knocking on your door.
Robert, You know, when I created Gale Force Wins with my business partner, it was to interview people on Zoom, like yourself. We've been talking now an hour and 9 minutes, so I can track it here. And it seems like we've been talking for 2 minutes, frankly.
I can go on for 20 hours, I told you that.
I'll tell you this, your journey, obviously, and you said you had 19 chapters. You've got about another 19 that you're writing as we speak. I am so excited for you.
I'm excited.
Well, I don't know you,
Yeah,
but I'm really excited.
I'm not excited for me. None of this really is for me. You know, doing this, I'm a bit shy, okay? I know I don't come across as shy, but since I've given up drinking, again, I feel, okay, I got it. You know, when the light bulb goes off and go, what the heck am I on this earth for? Because since 50, I'm looking down over the hill. That's why they say over the hill when you're 50. I got 42 years left. My grandmother got to 100. My other grandmother got to 96. Dad got to 84. Mom got to 84. I'm thinking longevity's there. But if I drop dead right now, I'm okay with that. I get to go see my wife. I get to, you know?
Yeah.
Because there got to be something past this. Because if this is the best there is, we're in a hell of a lot of trouble. So what I say, I guess, with my last closing remarks, if half of the business people in Newfoundland and Labrador gave back, took the money out of their pocket, the $5, the $10, the $20, out of their pockets, and gave back to that homeless person, or brought him to a restaurant and bought him something and sat with him. My father would sit with Judge Dole over here in Brigus, or go downtown and pick up recyclables and hang out with the homeless. That's who my father was. That's who I am. Is it?
Well, folks, this is Gale Force Wins, and I can't think
I love the name, by the way.
Well,
Never heard of you before you contact me.
Well, I'll tell you, I've started 3 or 4 businesses over my life, and I've never liked any of the names.
You'll have
This
a
is the first
jacket
one.
with that on it, free of charge.
This is the first one that I've ever liked. Well, I'll tell you.
You will.
You do mugs, right?
Oh,
We
you'll
need
have
to get
whatever
some
you
mugs.
want, sir. This was wonderful for me to be able to get a message out.
Robert, I'm going to tell you this, that we've interviewed in 4 years almost 1,600
Wow.
people.
Wow.
And we've been lucky
Wow.
enough to go all over the world.
Wow.
Anyone who follows us, says, wow, you must love to travel. Well, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
No, I don't particularly like it.
Right.
It's not easy.
You
But
gotta
anyway,
do what you gotta do.
the point I'm trying to make to clue up this chat today is that I am so excited for you. It's just such an interesting journey you're on. But you know what? The fact that you're willing to go to a smaller community.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
This province is on the cusp of its greatest economic resurgence in history.
All right.
We won't get into all of it,
Yeah.
but I mean, my business partner, I've traveled around doing recordings. You may
Right.
not have sseen them all.
Yeah.
World Energy GH2, the gold mine in Gander,
Okay.
what's going on down with World, the other one is Everwind Fueled, another hydrogen
Okay.
play, Argentia. I mean, it goes on. The list goes on and on and on. So we need people like you, and as my business partner likes to say, the world needs more Robert King. So Robert,
Oh,
thank you.
thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Gale Force Wins. That's Gale Force Wins, WINS.com.